Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
I've got a very busy Otaki MP, that's Nathan Guy on the telephone line. He's got lots of interviews lined up. Good morning, Nathan.
Well, Nigel, how are you?
I'm well. Whereabouts are you today?
I am up at Levin today.
Excellent. Anybody can pop in and see you, no doubt?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, catch up in the office.
Yep, okay. Well, I see the 28 billion gone to Auckland roading. Does it quell our chance of getting any roading north of Otaki?
Well, I've been saying that since they came out with the government policy statement, and I called that public meeting in Levin. It looks like our project from Otaki to Levin is in significant doubt now. I don't think that they can fund it because all the money appears to be heading into Auckland for the tram, etc. So not only are we going to get a regional fuel tax in the future, it looks like our road that we desperately need in the Horowhenua is doomed.
Well, if we get a regional fuel tax, it might mean that we might get the road. Is that one way of looking at it?
Well, I'm really dubious about these regional fuel taxes. As it is, we're all going to pay 13 cents extra. Auckland is going to be the first with a regional fuel tax. In the legislation, they could do it elsewhere. It will take some time to work its way through. That's unlikely to happen in the next few years. So what we do need here, Nigel, is certainty for the residents that at the moment are just waiting with their fingers crossed to see indeed if the road is going to impact on their property or not. So NZTA need to make that decision in the middle of the year. And my challenge back to the government is once that decision's made, they need to move quickly and find the money to compensate those residents that want to sell and move on quickly and get on with their lives. And we just need certainty here because right now the council's expecting significant growth, and they and real estate agents are just sort of, paralysed because they just don't know what's happening. So we need certainty in the middle of the year. We need funding to compensate people so they can get on with their lives.
If NZTA, put it down on paper and say this is what we're going to be doing, it's still up to the government to say whether they will go ahead with it, though, isn't it?
That's correct. And the minister says, he can't make any decisions. I know how it works. In fact, he's made political decisions and announced them yesterday in Auckland. So we'll keep the pressure on and see what happens. I also want to ensure that Peka Peka interchange happens because that was a pledge from the national government, leading into the campaign last year. And I heard the other day that might be in doubt, so I'm hoping that it isn't. And, of course, the shared pathway up to Otaki on the section that's under construction at the moment, that needs to occur as well. Yeah,
well, they've just approved that, so we got the news this morning that they're going ahead with that.
Good. So excellent. Beach FM's ahead of me this morning. That's brilliant news.
Yeah, well, you can pass that on to your constituents up there, so we're going right through to Otaki now.
We'll all be fitter.
Yeah. Shane Jones, though, he's contradictory to what the government's trying to do, isn't he? He wants the Northland roads, and Northland people are very upset about this. So how's it starting to affect this coalition?
Oh, the coalition's looking wobbly. It's looking sort of more vulnerable by the day. You've got New Zealand First that's trying to be the friend of the regions, and a lot of their $3 billion money is going to go into Northland. And Shane Jones is saying one thing and the government's saying another. So we're going to see more and more of this play out.
All right, and on the farming side, which you're very much interested in, the announcement of a primary sector council to provide advice to government on confronting the primary industry will amount to nothing, you say, more than lip service to one of the most important sectors in our economy. And I see they want less cows and more trees.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see what happens there. I just can't believe that Labor's been in opposition for 9 years. You would have thought that they would have had some policy to get on with, but it's clear that they don't. So they've had to get this sector group together to dream up ideas so that they can, try and enhance the primary sector. But I've got a hell of a lot of doubt on this group whether it will be able to achieve too much. And the names, there's some fantastic, well-known individuals on the group, which is great. But the reality is, there's no big heavy hitter from the New Zealand dairy industry in that group, which is a concern. And my fear is that, the Greens' tentacles on all the environmental things. Yes, farmers need to do more and look after the environment, but it's also a big earner for the New Zealand economy. So, we've got to work our way through that clearly, and I'm just not sure that this group ultimately will achieve too much.
Well, the farmers are doing their utmost at the moment. They're doing a very good job in reducing the amount of emissions and all the rest of it, getting into creeks and streams and that. So if they keep working along those lines, there's no reason why we should be cutting down on our dairy industry, is there?
Well, dairy farmers have done a huge amount in terms of, fencing off streams and rivers and things. It's almost 100% done. And when I last calculated it, it was Auckland to Chicago and back again, the distance of fencing that's already occurred.
Wow.
And that's already lost, in the debate. And farmers feel that they were certainly got at in the election campaign, used as sort of whipping boys by Labor and the Greens. And I guess a challenge back to the primary sector, in particular the dairy industry, is they've got to get better at selling their message and telling New Zealanders what they are doing. And there's been numerous water quality reports out recently. Actually, some of them have been improving around the country, and the worst ones are in Auckland.
Yes.
But no one actually seems to talk too much about that.
Not too many cows up there.
No, exactly.
Right, okay. So that's another battle. And I'm just thinking, though, the long-term effects on the big business like Fonterra. It must have some effect eventually if we start to reduce our dairy industry, does it?
Well, it will have, and Fonterra is pretty nervous about the announcement that was made recently about oil and gas, particularly in Taranaki, and what that means. A lot of their plants rely on the gas to power them. So they are concerned about some of the policy decisions that this government has decided to take in the last wee while. So businesses sitting nervously wondering what's going to happen next.
Yeah, fair enough too. You're back in Horowhenua today. What are the constituents up there talking to you about, Nathan, or haven't you found out yet?
Oh, yes. They generally, when I catch up with people in my office, either in Levin or Paraparaumu, it's very detailed discussions about government agencies, whether it's MSD or ACC or, housing, social housing issues. They generally seem to be the issues that we have to deal with.
I see the government's going to be looking at the welfare and so forth of superannuitants, etc. So I don't know too much about that, whether you've heard about it or not, but government must ensure beneficiaries meet obligations. And I'm not sure what those obligations is. I haven't read those through, but do you know anything about that?
No, all I've heard recently is that they appear to be softening on the sanctions, which is, I think, not a great move. We wanted to ensure that we looked after the most vulnerable in the community, and we did that through the global financial crisis and got more people off the couch into employment. The real concern now is that this government appears to be going to be heading in a direction of being more softer on welfare beneficiaries, and ultimately that's going to be more of a concern when you think about our unemployment rate is getting lesser and lesser in Horowhenua in particular. It's always been quite low in Kapiti, and we're going to need more and more people, local people in employment.
Yes, I see there's a lot more housing going to go up in Horowhenua too, aren't there?
Oh yes, the predictions are that there's going to be 10,000 people moving to Horowhenua in the next 20 to 30 years, and 4,000 extra houses are going to be needed. That's why conversation we had a few minutes ago about the roading is really important, because the council's trying to do their long-term planning. Where does the sewerage go? Where does the stormwater go? Where's the next school and supermarket and Levin and all those things? But until you find out where the road is going to go and when it's going to be funded and constructed, it's pretty hard to do your planning.
Well, I see the Deputy Mayor, Wayne Bishop's bought the old Horowhenua land. I should imagine that'll be a big building exercise there for homes, and perhaps a retirement village.
He's done a huge amount there at the old Kimberley site, and the houses just keep popping up there. In fact, he's been the one that's been leading the charge in terms of growth and new housing in Horowhenua, and it's great that he's now got ownership of the old Horowhenua hospital site, and that butts on nicely to Somerset Retirement Village. So I haven't heard from Wayne what he's in particular planning, but I'm sure it will be more of that sort of residential type retirement village stuff, which will be good for Horowhenua. More jobs,
Absolutely.
more local employment.
Well, I know you've got another appointment at 10:40, so thanks very much for your time, Nathan. I'll try and get you in a fortnight's time.
That'll be great. Thanks, Nigel. Have a great weekend.
Will do. That's Nathan Guy, Otaki MP.
106.3 Beach FM.